In my defense, this is the earliest I've been late. Besides, I've got a really good excuse this time.
We already know about your botched vasectomy.
He did go to a general practitioner.
The price was right.
You had a coupon.
As you know, I do the end of the year corporate call, and here's the long and the short of it. We're gonna need to trim some fat around here.
What about tomorrow's New Year's Eve party? Cancel that.
I'm taking away people's jobs. I'm not gonna take away their party. I'm not a monster.
Yeah, seriously, he's not like a conniving, motherfucking limp dick piece of shit asshole.
Yeah, there was a lot of specific in that.
Are you for real?
Mr. Dugan does not have a sense of humor.
Yeah, like that time last year that you joked there was an active shooter in the building.
That was not a joke. That was a drill. And we got to use the first aid kit, so it actually worked for the drill.
My resolution is to remain dick-free next year.
Weird. I had that same resolution.
Well, that confirms the rumors about you having no dick.
Party!
In an office.
Yeah, in an office!
There's no better way to describe what happened, but I think I was being stalked last night.
By someone in all black? Like a crow costume?
Me too. Only I wasn't stalked, I was chased. We got a house of horrors in there. 3 to 4 dozen people dead. But there's no right way to say it. We got a serial killer on our hands.
Hey, buddy, you're not supposed to be in here this late. I don't know who you are. You have to come back during business hours.
And here we are again on another podcast of Traveling Actors with your hosts, Deaton Gabbard and
Brandon Wall.
Welcome, welcome. And now we have another special guest coming live virtually from, I believe, Owensboro, if that's correct, PJ?
Yes, that is correct.
We have Mr. PJ Starks. Now, PJ has been in the film business, he can correct me if I'm wrong, I think since around 2005. Is that correct?
My first real serious effort was like 2008. But then I didn't make a name for myself until like 14. So, and I'm still failing. It's still a work in progress.
Well, that's awesome, man. I know, like, you're one of the people that I've looked up to for a while. Like, I wouldn't say you're failing at all.
Thank you.
When I first started acting years ago, like 5 or 6 years ago, I basically made a list of the people that I wanted to work with, and you've been on that list. Still haven't worked with you yet, but eventually we'll get there.
You have been at the top of my list as well for a long time, and I've been doing this for 15.
Absolutely,
I've been doing this for 15 years, so I mean, you've been up there.
Yeah, so just tell us a little bit about
you. You
yourself.
all have very low standards for this.
I mean, we're in Kentucky, so there's only so many people to choose from, to be fair.
Yeah, well, you have really good work too, though, honestly. Yeah. So
honestly,
I've admired a lot of your work that you've done.
Yeah, we're not really just like,
you saying that.
Yeah,
absolutely, man. We're not trying to like blow smoke up your ass, but honestly, like, we see the work that you put in, and we know the difference between a director and producer that puts in the work for their films and some people that just have the name
together.
Yeah, there's definitely a clear difference. So, PJ, just tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of what got you into filmmaking in the first place.
Long and the short of it, originally I wanted to be a comedian, and then that turned into writing, and then writing turned into directing, and then kind of became both. And then after a while, I found my sweet spot, which I think is producing. I kind of enjoy that more than most. I still do a little bit of both, since like with New Year's Eve, I wrote the screenplay and then of course co-directed the movie, but ultimately that's it's started young. It's kind of a cliche story at this point. Got a VHS camcorder, made movies with friends, and then eventually that translated into visual storytelling on a much larger scale a little later in life. God, I keep hitting my, but yeah, so got a job at a TV station when I was in college, and then decided that instead of finishing out my education, I would go right into the workforce since I got that opportunity, and then never looked back. And I have been very fortunate to continue to do professional video work. So I've been doing it for like 24 years now, professional video work, whether it's TV, commercial. Now I work for a law firm at Foreman, Watson, Holtry. I do all their video stuff, and then I produce their podcast and various other things around the office. So that's pretty much my story in a nutshell. I mean, well, the thing with comedians is in some ways it's similar to an actor on the stage. You have content that you have, or things you've written that you have to memorize, and then you have to say it in a very natural way. And I don't consider myself an actor, and I know a lot of comedians aren't actors, but ultimately, you still have material that you have to know. And when the heat is on and you suddenly go blank, you're in trouble. And I did a lot of theater. I was a rose curtain player at Owensboro High School and everything. But I found that I just hated memorizing dialogue. I'm fine, I guess, if I can do things off the cuff. I don't know if you all have seen Volumes of Blood, but in that I wrote the role for myself to play kind of a douchebag version of myself, because someone had actually written like a topics page about me. So I thought, oh, that'd be really fun to take that, whoever this person is, and how they feel about me, and turn that into a character. So that's where that version
funny.
of me
That's
came
genius.
from
I
in
love
Volumes of
that.
Blood. I mean, so the part where Jacob is reading the topics page or whatever, like that was actually from the what was written. So anyway, but what happened was I was so focused on producing that the day came where I had to do acting. And then it dawned on me about 40 minutes before I was supposed to get in front of the camera that I had to act. So I attempted to memorize the dialogue, and you would think that because I'd written it that it wouldn't be as difficult, but I failed miserably, and it was like take after take after take, and that's the thing. I mean, like, I give a lot of respect to actors because you have, you have a big responsibility on your shoulders, because it's when you're in front of the camera, everybody in the room, when you're supposed to be on it, is relying on you, including the people you're acting against, because acting is reacting. So, it got to a point where I was just like, I had to throw the script, and I was like, look, here's the deal. I said, I know enough about what I'm supposed to say to feed you all what you need to be able to give me back your lines. I said, but just, I'm going to wing it, go with me, but I'll still give you your cues, and we'll go from there. So when you see my performance in Volumes of Blood, it's mostly ad-libbed. And it was funny because I hear people say, not so much anymore because some time has passed since Volumes of Blood, but especially afterwards, they were like, why don't you do more acting? Because you were great in Volumes of Blood. And I thought, look, that was just me just throwing it all out there and hoping to be funny and entertaining. And thankfully it worked out. So it was a bit of a fluke. And I've done some cameo work and stuff, like in The Barn Part 2 and a few other things, cryptids, but
Yeah.
like minimal acting.
Yeah.
Minimal.
Well, here's the thing too, though, PJ. I mean, that is what acting is. That is exactly. It's about taking risks. It's about putting your all out there.
Yeah.
All the best actors
Right.
do that.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie. Like, I mean, unless it says that you have to be verbatim, word for word, or it's like a network TV show, I don't do that.
Yeah.
Because I found that it's
Right.
much more natural, and it's just it's better if I just deliver it. I'm not thinking about the words. You know,
Yeah.
I'm thinking about why I'm saying the words.
Yeah.
And so, like, that honestly is why everyone is saying your performance is so good, is because it was natural, it was authentic. And we talk about that all the time, about authenticity in acting. But I kind of want to go back a little bit. So you've produced and you've directed. Can you just kind of tell us, because we have a general audience base here too. I mean, a lot of people that I've talked to are actors or they're in the film industry, but there's also a lot of people that are just interested in Kentucky film in general and they don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
So can you kind of just give us an idea of what the difference is between a director and a producer?
Well, so I mean, there is some crossover there because, like, with a producer, when I'm producing a project, I have my hand in every different aspect of the film. I'm there, I'm part of the creative process, but ultimately the big job for a producer is problem solving. So in a lot of ways, you're like a manager for a company. And when something goes wrong, it's up to you to fix X, Y, and Z. So, I mean, there's a lot of, I try not to micromanage when I'm producing. I try to let people, because when you bring someone onto a project, I mean, obviously you bring them on for a reason to do what they do best. Occasionally you have to step in, but normally, like I said, I don't hover over someone while they're directing or whatever. Now I might throw in like some creative input and everything, but ultimately, like with producing, it's really just you're standing and you're observing and you're facilitating from conception to completion. So like with New Fear's Eve, of course, like I said, there are some crossover because with that I directed. But you know, Eric and myself, both of us we both co-owned Blood Moon Pictures. We both produced. We produced together. So we're working together to make sure like finances are on point, cast and crew are on point. If we have a deadline, that we're going to hit that deadline. If we have a budget, that we make that budget or below if possible. But then like with directing, a lot of that is, which like with New Fear's Eve, when I was directing, you know, I'm working with Alex, who was the director of photography, because I went in and I'm very much a visual storyteller. So like when I wrote the script, I see how it's going to play out in my head. Now, that's not to say that Alex didn't have any input on how it was shot, because I love collaboration. So anytime I do something, like I want your ideas, and that's all the way down to like production assistants. If you have an idea, and that includes dialogue. I mean, sometimes someone will come up with a line on set and go, man, it'd be really funny if they said this or whatever. And I would be remiss if I didn't take those ideas and implement them, because everybody on set is a creative entity to some degree. Now, if it's like a time crunch or something, and it's an idea that we don't think that we can execute within given said time allotment, then obviously we can't do it. But if it's something like a line of dialogue, why not do it? Just, you know, take that minute or two, and then when you go into the editing room, like you said, you have that option. And then the other thing too is sometimes somebody comes up with a better idea like than what I've written on paper, and I would be stupid not to accept that idea, because if it is better than what was there initially, it's only going to make the project better. And then naturally I can just, you know, take credit for it later on after the movie comes out. But which I'm sure which I'm kidding, I don't do that, but I'm sure it happens all the time. um there's actually a great joke that's probably going to offend some people in New Fear's Eve, but Eric had said it initially, and it's in the movie as a line of dialogue, and I wish I could take credit for it, but unfortunately I can't. Now, there's other offensive dialogue in the movie that I can take credit for, and if somebody gets upset, then I just blame it on Eric, and then I get out of trouble. But right. But as far as the difference between producing and directing, with directing, you're a part of the creative process all the way. You work directly with the actors. Of course, you're going to work with other crew members and stuff. But as far as, you know, like the financial side and a lot of the more internal workings of the production, the director may not really have anything to do with that. So it's mostly your job to work with the actors and make sure that, you know, scenes are moving forward, and plus too, sometimes, you know, the directors bringing their vision to the project. Anyway, I tend to ramble a lot, so hopefully that answered your guys' question.
Yeah, and also it's a good leeway because I was going to ask you, tell us a little bit about New Fear's Eve. I've seen that posted around. I know there's a lot of big horror icons attached to that as well. So kind of give us a little breakdown on that.
Yeah, what exactly started that concept?
We were in the middle of making 13 Slays Till XMas, and I don't know how. I mean, I can't really explain how it happens. But it's I'm trying not to sound artsy fartsy, but it's one of those things where usually I come up with my ideas when I'm either in the shower or I'm like driving, and things just pop into my head. And sometimes it's a concept, and then I have to figure out what the title is going to be. Sometimes it's a title, and but which is the case with New Fear's Eve. So I was driving along, and I thought New Fear's Eve. That's kind of a cool title. And then I started thinking like, okay, so what would the story be? And then initially, the concept, it was going to be an anthology. The way because everybody around here where we work at, Eric and myself included, we have day jobs. So because of that, we're like weekend warriors. The only time we really get to film is on weekends. So out of necessity, in a lot of ways, anthologies tend to be I won't say easier, but it's
probably easier to schedule
wheelhouse because it's something we can do over the course of a weekend. But we've always talked about wanting to do a feature narrative. But in the beginning, New Fear's Eve was going to be an anthology. And so while we're filming 13 Slays Till XMas, and this almost always inevitably happens when I'm working on a project, I come up with an idea for something else. And I tell Eric, I'm like, hey, so I have this idea. Here's the title. Here's what the concept is. And then he's always like, can we at least get through this movie and then talk about
me and Cam?
Because we're like right in the thick of it almost always. So he's like, let's get through the fray.
Literally,
it's me and Cam, literally.
Whatever. So I say, okay. So I put New Fear's Eve to the side. It was kind of the same thing with 13 Slays Till XMas. I mean, that's how 13 Slays Till XMas happened. I came up with the idea for it when we were shooting Fear for Sinners Here, which was the Christmas sequence in Volumes of Blood horror stories. And I approached him with that, and he's like, we're shooting another movie. Let's make this movie. So anyway, so jumping ahead in time, after 13 Slays Till XMas comes out, for us, it does fairly well. Like it was one of the more well-received ones. It was also, with every project, we try to get a little bit better, we do things bigger. And then we always try to do things a little bit differently. So we were asking ourselves, like, what's a bit of a different direction we can go? So with the next project, we had kind of made the decision that it's like, we keep making anthologies. We don't want to be pigeonholed as the anthology guys. I mean, yes, it's been out of necessity, but at the same time, it's like, can we do a feature narrative?
Yeah.
So then I transitioned the concept of New Fear's Eve from being an anthology to a feature narrative. And then I reworked the story, and it's interesting, and you'll see it when the movie comes out, but there is a series of flashbacks in the movie, and that's actually part of the original concept when it was an anthology. But now that portion became like a series of flashback sequences, and of course it makes more sense when you watch the movie. But so I reworked the concept, made it into a feature narrative, came back at Eric, and I said, so here's the new idea for the film. He said, I love it. Write the script. Then I got lazy. I was like, I could write a script, or I could watch The Prowler for the 100th time, or Hell Night, or Madman, or any other slasher movie or whatever. I was like, I've seen Final Destination 1,000 times. I gotta watch that again though. I can't. So after like 2 months of Eric going, so have you written the script yet? Where's the script? What's going on with the script? I finally sat down and started banging it out. And the initial concept too was, well, the reworked concept, it was supposed to be straightforward horror. It was supposed to be more of a serious horror film. But up to that point, I had also gone through, I'd gone through a lot of serious issues. I had some anxiety things. Of course, my grandmother passed away. She was super important to me.
Sorry
And
to hear
was
that,
at the
man.
tail end of 13 Slays Till Christmas. And then I went through a divorce. And so there was all these like insane life changes and all this stuff. So when I sat down and started writing, and it's weird because when you write something, even though it is you, as you're writing, it's like the characters take over.
Yeah.
And even though you may have an idea as to what direction you're headed in, sometimes it's almost like those people that don't even really exist kind of take over, and then they take you in directions that you don't necessarily intend on going. So by the time I finished the script, it is a comedy, but it's a lot of the comedic elements are relegated more towards the dialogue. The film itself is not really slapsticky or anything like that, like Hot Shots or Naked Gun or anything. There are a couple slapstick-ish kind of things in the script, but when it's horror, it's especially the character of the doctor, it's taken very seriously.
Nice.
But I'm a huge Kevin Smith fan, and
Yeah, me too.
anything that I've written, especially like the 13 Slays segment that I wrote, the disc jockey with the radio, it's like I felt like in terms of Kevin Smith, that right there, when you watch it, like just the dialogue I wrote is very similar to something that he might do. So that's what New Fear's Eve is. It's like it's these three friends. It's the days leading up to this mandatory work party, the New Year's Eve party. Nobody wants to be there, but they have to be there. And unbeknownst to them, they're being stalked by this sadistic serial killer called the Doctor, who is equally being hunted by the police and FBI. And they don't know about it. And then they go to the party. And then, of course, he follows them there. And then they all get trapped inside this party. All hell breaks loose. And it's a fun movie. It's serious in parts, but it was even though, like I said, even though it's a horror comedy, I think it's going to be interesting to see what people's reactions are to the film, because if you watch the trailer, or even if you, like when people talk to me about it, they're like, oh, I love slasher films and I can't wait. And they think, oh, there's over 40 kills in the movie, so it's going to be a gore fest. And while there is a lot of kills in the film, especially because it's only an hour and 35 minutes long, you would think, how do you, because that's like a kill every 2.5 minutes or something like that. But it doesn't feel like that, because the movie is very character driven and it's very story driven.
Nice.
Especially because I used the film to tackle a lot of the feelings I had about loss and divorce and change and relationships and rekindling an old romance and stuff like that. So all these elements are kind of mixed in to this script. And it was funny because Jeffrey Reddick, who I was already friends with, and he did have a cameo in 13 Slays.
And for those who don't know, that is Jeffrey Reddick of Final Destination. I always like to let the audience know who we're talking about. So for those that don't know, it's Jeffrey Reddick that did the Final Destination series.
Yes. So, which I'm a huge fan of Final Destination.
Oh, yeah, me too.
But he was super impressed with 13 Slays, and he was like, look, whatever you guys end up doing next, I really want to be on board. Of course, I want to read the script, make sure you're not making a porno, but ultimately...
or make sure you are making a porno, maybe.
Well, that's, yeah. In another life, maybe. If this whole filmmaking thing doesn't pan out, OnlyFans the movie. But yeah, he's like, look, I want to. This time though, I don't want just a cameo where I shoot something here in LA and send it to you. Like, I actually want to come to Kentucky. I want to be on set. I want to work directly with you on the film. And eventually that turned into him actually getting a role in the movie, because he plays an HR rep in the film.
Nice.
So I ended up creating a role for him. But before that even happened, I'd sent him the script and he read it. And then he called me back almost immediately and he was like, look, yes, I'm on board. I love the script. It's funny. It's thrilling. You've managed to write characters that feel very real and relatable, and right out of the gate you like them and you care about them, and so you worry about what's going to happen to them by the time the end of the movie comes around. And of course all of that for me was huge because, as I said, I'm a big fan of the Final Destination franchise.
Yeah, of course.
It used to be worse, but at one time I was like a real big hypochondriac, so those movies made my fear of death like 10 times greater, because I would think, oh, did me just picking up this paperclip start the eventual whatever was going to cause my death later on in the day. So I would think about that stuff all the time. So to now work with Jeffrey and have done a movie with him, and he's produced it, and he's helping us on the back end side where, geez Louise, I talk with my hands a lot, so like
we
when
do
I'm
too.
attached to the
Yeah,
camera,
we do too, man.
I'm over here like ninjaing, and it gets bad, it gets dangerous. But anyway, so to have him on board the project and everything was just really cool and surreal.
Yeah.
Well, I can definitely tell why Jeffrey would choose that project. I mean, I've been following it. I know me and Brandon both have been following the Indiegogo for a while now, and like, I mean, just talking to you now, like, you sell the hell out of it. Like, you are definitely a natural-born seller, and that is very important, especially with indie filmmaking. But we are kind of running lower on time, so I just wanted to quickly ask you, well, one, where the fuck can we see this at? When's it coming out? I want to see New Year's Eve.
Okay, so we're at the tail end of post-production. Actually, just yesterday we got the video file that the colorist had worked on. It's like a nearly completed version, but there's a few things in it he still has to do. I actually am going to sit down and watch it tonight. I haven't had a chance to look at it yet. And then we had to send it out to a sound designer in Texas. So they're finishing that up by either the end of this month or beginning of March, the film should be done.
Sweet.
The next step is getting it into the hands of the distributors, who keep reaching out to us and saying, where's the movie at? What's going on with the movie? We want to see the movie. And then, of course, the festival run, submitting it to festivals. Now, when the movie will actually release, we don't know that yet, because we don't know who's going to distribute the film. We are assuming that when it gets picked up, because of the type of film it is, it'll be somewhere released to streaming, like somewhere from October to December. I mean, it makes sense, November, December, because it's a New Year's Eve film. New Year's Eve one. But with it being horror, I know sometimes they'll release it a little bit early, so October is a good month for that. There has been some talk about a potential theatrical run. Whether that happens or not is yet to be seen. We'll have to wait and find out what happens there, but it'll definitely be this year, unless Warner Brothers gets their hands on it, and then they'll probably shelve it and then never release it and get a tax write-off on the project.
Well, hopefully you get that theatrical release, because that would be awesome. Huge for you. And I mean, I want to see that in theaters. That sounds amazing. For one thing. Where can they see your stuff that is out now, like Volumes of Blood and 13 Slays Till Christmas, like the things that you've already talked about?
So Volumes of Blood Horror Stories, 13 Slays Till Christmas are all on streaming, various networks from Plex TV, Pluto, Amazon, Screambox. Usually the best way is just, if you want to see one of those movies, the best way to do it is just Google's our friend. 13 Slays Till Christmas streaming, and then there's actually a website called Just Watch, and it brings up like all the different options from just standard definition to 4K options and stuff like that. So that's usually the best way you can find out like where the movies are streaming. And then of course Scream Team releasing has 13 Slays Till Christmas and Volumes of Blood on a special Collector's edition. And you can, if you're into physical media, you can get it there. Unfortunately, Volumes of Blood Horror Stories is out of print. However, someone may be picking it up to put out physical copies of that. That's something we're working on now.
Nice.
But yeah, that's the best way. Or you can also go to bloodmoonpictures.com, and we have all the information on there. More information than you've ever wanted to know about Eric or myself and the projects that we've worked on. And yeah, that's the best way of going about it.
Awesome. And you already kind of said this, but where can we find you? Where can we follow you and your stuff?
Yeah.
I mean, the easiest way to get in touch with me if you're interested is Facebook. I'm old school. I keep being told that Facebook is for old people. But then what I don't understand is, like, I talk to people about TikTok and things, and you can't do the same marketing type salesmanship on those platforms that you can do on some of these others. So I just don't fully understand. But once again, that makes me sound old. And but yeah, I'm most accessible, I would say, on there. I usually talk to anybody if you hit me up or message, or you can actually contact us through our website, but it's bloodmoonpics@gmail.com. But yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for
Yeah,
coming
thanks,
on
PJ.
here, PJ.
We appreciate you, brother.
Especially
Cool.
doing it virtually.
Thank you so much. And look, I'm the same way. I have a list of people that, I would like to work with or haven't had a chance to work with yet. Or so I'm sure, though, and you know how the indie scene, as big as it is, it's also a very small group too. So I'm sure at some point we will work together. It's just a matter of time.
Absolutely, man. Well, thank you all for tuning in for another podcast of Traveling Actors. We'll see you next episode.
We'll see you again.